At exactly 9:43 p.m., a final message was sent. It was not a warning. It was not a goodbye. It simply said, "I'll be there soon." No one knew at the time that those 5 words would become the last trace of someone who vanished without explanation. Important disclaimer. This story is fictionalized for educational and storytelling purposes. All names, locations, and events have been altered. Any resemblance to real persons is purely coincidental. This story is told calmly, without sensationalism, and does not include graphic content. It is intended to inform, engage, and explore a mysterious disappearance. Who they were. The person at the center of this mystery was known to everyone as reliable, calm, and careful. They lived a quiet life, marked by routine and consistency. Every morning, they woke at the same hour, prepared breakfast in a predictable manner, and left for work on time. Friends described them as someone you could always depend on. If they promised to call, they did. If they promised to call, they did. If they said they would arrive somewhere, they were punctual. No one could remember a day when they broke a commitment. At work, they were known for their patience and diligence. Deadlines were met early, tasks were completed meticulously, and they often helped colleagues without complaint. Everyone appreciated their reliability and steady demeanor. Small details in their personal life reflected the same care. They returned borrowed items promptly. They kept their living space neat. They preferred schedules and routines to surprises or spontaneity. Family trusted them completely. They regularly checked in with parents, siblings, and close friends. Even neighbors noticed their quiet, orderly nature. In the days before the disappearance, nothing unusual occurred. Morning routines, small errands, and casual conversations were all as expected. There were no sudden mood changes or concerning behaviors. Evenings were spent quietly, reading, sketching, or taking short walks. There were no signs of risk-taking or unusual behavior. Social interactions were calm and predictable. Their hobbies were safe and low risk, like sketching or gardening. Even minor activities reflected thoughtfulness and consistency. Every interaction, every task, every routine suggested normality. This predictability is what made their disappearance so perplexing. How could someone so grounded and visible vanish without explanation? It was not chaos or impulsive behavior. It was sudden absence. Friends and family could not reconcile the person they knew with the uncertainty that followed. Every small detail of their life, routines, habits, schedules, now becomes a part of the puzzle. The life they led was ordinary, calm, and fully accounted for. Yet one simple message, "I'll be there soon," became the last trace of their existence. It is this ordinary, predictable life that makes the disappearance so haunting. People are left asking how someone so methodical could simply vanish. The last day. The day began like any other. Morning routines were followed carefully. Breakfast was prepared. Messages were sent to friends and coworkers, and plans were set for the day. Work proceeded normally. Tasks were completed as usual. Calls and messages were exchanged without issue. There were no signs of distress, anger, or fear. In the afternoon, they made plans for the evening. A familiar route was taken for errands. Phone records confirm regular activity throughout the day. Everything appeared ordinary. The schedule was consistent. Interactions with family, friends, and coworkers were calm and predictable. Then, at exactly 9:43 p.m., the final message was sent. "I'll be there soon." After that, communication stopped entirely. Calls went unanswered, messages were not returned, and social activity ceased. Friends initially assumed it was a minor delay. Hours passed. Anxious messages were sent repeatedly. No replies were received. By morning, concern escalated into alarm. Family contacted authorities. Initial searches began at locations the person was expected to reach. Despite these efforts, nothing was found. No belongings, no sightings, no clues. Every routine action and plan from that day now becomes a key part of the mystery. The calm, predictable day ended in silence, leaving more questions than answers. When concern turned into alarm. At first, those waiting believed it was a minor delay. Traffic, unexpected events, or missed communications could explain the absence. Hours passed. Messages were sent and resent. Calls went unanswered. By the next morning, it was clear that something serious had occurred. Family and friends grew increasingly worried. Authorities were contacted. A search began. Routes were examined. Nearby locations were checked. Witnesses were questioned. Everyone reported the same thing. The person had followed their usual routines that day. There were no threats, no confrontations, and no indications of danger. Yet the person was gone. No belongings were found. No digital traces remained. No one could confirm seeing them. The suddenness of the disappearance shocked friends and family. The predictability of their life made the absence more alarming. The question became not where they were, but how someone so cautious and visible could vanish. Strange details that raised questions. Investigators noted several unusual details. The phone stopped transmitting unexpectedly. It was not powered off. It was simply unreachable. Financial records showed no activity. No purchases, no withdrawals. Witnesses could not recall seeing the person after the final message. Even neighbors reported nothing unusual. No planning was evident. No signs indicated a voluntary disappearance. The person had left no instructions, no notes, no explanation. Each search effort led to dead ends. Every lead brought new questions. Authorities considered multiple possibilities. Accidental disappearance? Possible. But no location or evidence pointed that way. Voluntary disappearance? Unlikely, given no preparation. A chance encounter? No witnesses or clues supported this. Every fact reinforced the mystery. Every ordinary action from previous days contrasted with the abrupt absence. The more investigators examined the case, the fewer answers they found. Theories and fictional suspects. Several theories emerged. Some suggested an accidental encounter with a stranger. Others proposed voluntary disappearance. Investigators briefly referred to fictional suspects, all anonymized for storytelling. Daniel, a former acquaintance. Alex, a neighbor with casual contact. Jordan, a co-worker discussed in early theories. These names are entirely fictional. No real individuals are implicated. None of the theories fully explained the disappearance. Some believed it was chance misadventure. Others thought it was a personal choice. Despite speculation, no evidence confirmed any theory. All leads ended inconclusively. The mystery persisted. Questions remained unanswered. Theories were discussed, but could not provide closure. Where the case stands today. Years have passed since the disappearance. The case remains open. No arrests have been made. No confirmed sightings. No additional evidence has emerged. Family and friends continue to live with uncertainty. They reflect on routines, habits, and every ordinary action that now seems significant. The absence remains unexplained. The person's life, once calm and predictable, is now a series of questions. The mystery continues to perplex all who knew them. Even after years, authorities acknowledge the case remains unresolved. No conclusions have been reached. No answers provide closure. Disappearances like this unsettle us because they challenge our sense of normality. Life can appear calm, predictable, and ordinary. And then, in a single moment, it changes forever. One message, one evening, and suddenly, someone is gone. Friends and family are left with questions. Investigators are left with leads that go nowhere. What happened after that final message? Was it misfortune, coincidence, or something unknown? Some mysteries remain unsolved, Some questions have no answers. Perhaps some events are meant to remain a mystery. The life once lived in full view of those around them is now absent. The routines, the habits, the small gestures, all are left behind as clues to a story with no conclusion. The silence continues. The mystery persists, and the absence remains. And so, the trail ends here. No final answers. No confirmed truth. Only fragments. A message sent too late. A silence that never explained itself. Some believe the disappearance was carefully planned. Others believe it was a coincidence that spiraled out of control. And a few believe the truth is still waiting, hidden in details that were never noticed. What makes this story unsettling is not what we know, but what we don't. Because somewhere between the last message and the unanswered calls, the story stopped speaking back. And maybe that's the real mystery. Now, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think really happened? Was it a deliberate vanishing? Or something far more unexpected? Share your theory in the comments below. Some of the most compelling ideas may shape future stories on this channel. If this story kept you listening, if the silence stayed with you, consider subscribing to Silent Trace. New stories are coming soon. Deeper, quieter, and more unsettling than before. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next trace. When the silence speaks again.